What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my stream. Something very exciting is happening with the crypto world. Everything is pumping. If we look at the charts, Bitcoin is pumping, Ethereum is pumping, Solana is pumping. The whole crypto world is pumping right now. And you don't know how happy this makes me feel. Bitcoin, crypto in general, is starting to rise, and it looks like we could be heading to higher levels. And the question is, how high? And that's exactly what I want to talk about in this video. So let's get straight into the charts and talk about what is happening. But before we do that, just want to look at crypto in general, because in the last hour, we have had a lot of coins start to rise. Of course, we have a couple of these other coins that have fallen in the last hour, but overall, crypto world is starting to rise. In the last hour, for example, infrastructure framework started to rise. Blue Zelly is starting to rise. Horizon is starting to rise. Telcoin rose 3%. Ator protocol rose 3%. Lisk rose 2%. Bluezil rose 3%. And what's even more insane is what happens when you turn on the daily time frame. Because, for example, Varus coin rose 71% in the last day. Bifrost rose 70% in the last day. Polymesh rose 16%. All of these little tiny altcoins. For example, this one, it seems like it's Bitcoin. This is a funny cryptocurrency actually, because it seems its ticker shows Bitcoin, but it's not actually Bitcoin. For example, the ticker for Bitcoin is BTC. This is a coin called Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu ETH, and its ticker is Bitcoin. That's very interesting. But anyway, that coin has also risen 22% in the last day, and a ton of other coins like Cobalt. The whole crypto world is starting to rise, including Solana. Solana is a very good cryptocurrency. It's a very new, I mean, it's not new, but it's a very big cryptocurrency that has a lot of potential. And because it's rising, it could propel the whole entire crypto world. Now, the question is, why is everything rising? In general, Solana technically has no catalyst for a rise. If you think about it, there's no big news about Solana, but maybe it's rising because of the recent launch of the Ethereum futures. If we look at this chart, Bitwise announces Ethereum ETF launch, the Ethereum ETF futures on October 2nd. Maybe that's what's causing this rise, because even though Solana is its own standalone blockchain platform, it is still affected by other cryptocurrencies, especially Ethereum, because Ethereum is a very big cryptocurrency. It takes a lot of cryptocurrencies and just causes them to follow them. It causes cryptocurrencies to correlate to Ethereum. So Solana correlates with Ethereum. That's very obvious. But that might be one of the reasons why the whole entire crypto world is pumping, because of all this ETF news. Also, in my previous couple live streams, I did talk about the possibility of the basically the ETFs getting accepted, because we talked about the fact that the SEC declined going to court because everything is illegal, which means that now the SEC needs to accept and needs to review this new ETFs from all the companies, from BlackRock, from Fidelity. They need to review and come to a decision. Of course, they'll probably try to keep rejecting, but here's the thing: if they keep rejecting these ETFs, the companies that created these ETFs will just come back with new revisions and new ways to secure the ETFs. And that's why a lot of people believe that this 2023 is a time when the ETFs will get accepted. Now, there are around 10 different ETFs on the crypto market, and if the ETFs, if one ETF gets accepted, all of them get accepted at the same time, because they cannot keep one, for example, ETF close and allow the other nine to open. Same thing for one. If they open one ETF, the rest will be accepted very, very soon, because they are working almost the exact same way. Now, of course, there's a lot of things happening with the Bitcoin spot ETF, with the Ethereum spot ETF, but the Ethereum futures ETF has already been turned on, has already been launched on October 2nd, and that might be why this whole entire situation, the whole entire crypto world is pumping. Another reason, like Michael Van de Pape, I don't know, apologizing for the pronunciation, says, "Welcome to October. October. Welcome to Q4, quarter four, which is leading towards a great quarter, potentially fueled by ETF approvals and the pre-halving rally. Potentially Bitcoin to 40,000 is reasonable." And I agree with this guy. all the ETF approvals that might happen right now, the pre-halving rally, the October in general suggests that right now in this month we could start rising. What is October? What is he talking about with this? Well, the reason this is called October is because of something very, very big. Because if we look at the previous history of years, previous months in Bitcoin history, the month of October right over here has generally been always rising to the upside, has always been a green month. Only 3 years in the last 10 years of history, this is 10 years of history, only 3 years in the last 10 years of history have been bearish. And that's been in 2012, 2014, and 2018. Other than that, the month of October has been very bullish for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, which is why people started calling October Uptober in the world of crypto. And of course, even though in the recent years October was not that bullish, it was only 5% gain overall, but we do see a lot of fluctuation to the downside, to the upside, but we always end to the upside. With October ending very, very soon, we can see that right over here, October, with October having its, sorry, I forgot to turn on the screen this time, but as you guys can see right over here, October, it's in the last 10 years we had green bullishness for almost the whole entire time. Only 3 years in the past had bearishness. We had 2012, 2014, and 2018, which means that overall the month of October is always bullish. This is why it's called Uptober. And that's why Michael Van de Poppe says that welcome to October. And I agree, because psychologically October is a very bullish month. And that's why people started calling it October. Another reason, the ETFs. Already talked about that. And number one, the pre-halving rally. This is something I really want to talk about. This is something very, very big. Because if we look at Bitcoin, the halving cycles, I've been talking about the halving cycles for a while. The halving cycles is something very, very big. Every 4 years, we have a cycle. We have the first year that causes Bitcoin to start rising up, the second year that causes Bitcoin to crash, and this third and fourth year, which is the most confusing year of all. We rise, we fall. A lot of people get liquidated both ways, long, shorts, bulls, bears, but we have a little rally. It's called the pre-halving rally. And what we can do is we can drag this cycle back to Bitcoin where we are right now and just see at around the same exact time from last year, around the same exact distance, we are approximately, let's see, how many weeks are we from the Bitcoin halving? We are approximately 175 days, which is, we are approximately, let's see, 28 weeks away from the Bitcoin halving. What that means is that if we look at the past 28 weeks ago, what we can see is that around at the same time, around the month of October, what we saw is a rally to the upside for around 10 weeks. We had a rally to the upside. Of course, we crashed because of a pandemic, but we had this start of a rally. What's interesting is that this happens very, very often. We look around, if we go back 28 weeks before the halving, right over here, we see these rallies that start to happen, these pre halving rallies. Going back 28 weeks again to this back in 2012, we also saw the beginning of this interesting rally. Of course, we saw crashes, we saw rises, we saw falls, but overall, we see this pre-halving rally. Of course, this does not need to happen, but for some reason it does almost every single time. But it does not mean that we start rising up in the long term, because like we saw in the previous cycle, after this little pre-halving rally, we had this collapse down for Bitcoin. Of course, it was very short term. We recovered very, very fast and reached $10,000 once again in around 2 months. That dump from 10,000 to 3,000 was very short lived. Same thing could happen for Bitcoin. What I'm just saying is that around this third year, everything is super volatile. We have rises, we have falls. We can fall 30% and then go straight back up to $40,000, or rise to 40,000 and fall back down to 20 very, very fast. And it's a very high risk area. And where is the low risk area, you may ask? The low risk area is after the halving. Because if we look back in history, in the whole entire history of Bitcoin, every single time the halving happened, a couple months later, at the end of the year of the halving, we see the start of the Bitcoin rally, the actual Bitcoin rally, when Bitcoin rises so fast that nobody can keep up with anything. It rises so fast that we rose 3,000% in 70 weeks in 2016 to 2018. That's insane. Same thing with how Bitcoin rose from 8,000 to an unbelievable 70, almost $70,000 in around 50 weeks. That is very, very fast. And that's exactly what's going to happen once again when Bitcoin reaches the next halving. But before that, everything is super volatile. We usually see some kind of pre-halving rally. This might be it, but we might have it again. With October being so bullish and the ETFs showing bullish signals, we could be seeing the catalyst forming for this pre-halving rally, and things are reacting. Solana, look at this. It's pumped ever since we stopped right over here at the 12th of October, has pumped 23%. That is very, very big. That's in the last week. And if you look at Ethereum, it's done the same thing. Ethereum rose basically 3% in the last day. Bitcoin is also doing the same exact thing. And this is where technical analysis starts to play into place, because if we look at Bitcoin in general, if you look at what Bitcoin has been doing in the last week, I've been talking about this. I've been talking about the possibility of Bitcoin starting to rise. In the beginning, I was bearish about Bitcoin because of one major thing: the possibility of an ABC correction wave. I was talking about that fact that Bitcoin has risen up so far. It has made a 5 wave move Elliott wave. The fact that it made this 5 wave move Elliott wave suggested that we should have a correction down and Bitcoin should strengthen up before having another leg up. And technically, that would work with the halving. But the fact that Bitcoin has broken a very key level right now and is seeing a lot of bullish momentum could mean that we don't need to have this ABC correction wave. Also, with ABC correction waves, we have three waves. We have the A wave, which falls down, the B wave, which rises up, and the C wave. What I was talking about is the possibility of us being in a B wave. Just saying, when we are in a B wave, we have some very key levels that we hit. We rise up to the 0.618 retracement level, and that's exactly where we stop. And that's where Bitcoin is right now. This is why, even though I'm saying Bitcoin is super bullish, we could be seeing catalysts. What Bitcoin needs to do is, in the near future, right now, break this huge resistance line. Because if we do not break this resistance line, if we get rejected from this huge level and get rejected and start crashing down, of course, the ABC correction wave could play out. But the fact that we see October, we see the ETFs, we see all of these things on in real life news playing out could mean that Bitcoin could have enough energy, could have enough momentum to actually push itself past the 0.618 level. If we get past the 0.618 level, and I've been talking about this for a while, we could rise all the way up to the next resistance level at $29,800, which is the zero point 0.7 retracement level. We break that, the ABC correction wave is not a thing, and we could see momentum to the upside. Now, I do have a couple bearish things that I've been talking about. The fact that we are inside of this possibly an ascending channel, which is a very bearish technical analysis pattern. And that pattern could take Bitcoin down to lower levels also. But all we need to do is get enough bullish momentum to break us out above this level, or at least confirm support at the 0.618 level. Because we're not just confirming support at this level. We would also be confirming support inside of the Ichimoku cloud on the daily time frame. Sorry. Right now, what Bitcoin is doing with this pump, and I've been waiting on this for a while, what Bitcoin is doing right now is confirming support at a ton of levels, including the zero point 0.5 level on the ABC correction wave. That's right over here. We have the Ichimoku cloud where we're confirming support, and the moving averages on the daily time frame. Hiding the Ichimoku, showing you guys just the fact that Bitcoin has confirmed support at the 200-day moving average. What this is basically meaning is that Bitcoin is having a strong bullish momentum to the upside with a lot of support down beneath it. It has possibly enough momentum to break above the weekly Ichimoku cloud. Of course, the weekly Ichimoku cloud is massive. It's going to be a very tough thing to break right now. The Ichimoku cloud right goes from 30,000 all the way up to $41,000, and that's why a lot of people, including this Michael, believes that $40,000 is possible because Bitcoin could rise all the way to $40,000. And that's where the real question begins because do we start getting rejected there or do we break it? And that's where we got to watch the news over there. But looking at the short term level, technically, $40,000 is very much possible with the Bitcoin catalyst, with the crypto pumping in the short term. But what we need to see is a confirmation of support above that 0.618 level, above $29,233. Give me a second. But now, if we talk about a couple other things, we can talk about the fact that this breakout that we just had could possibly be the start of a three drives pattern on the midterm time frame because the next resistance level, the next major resistance level, because we have a lot of other resistance levels, but the next major resistance level, in my opinion, after 29,100 is $32,000, $31,000. 500. And that is because that is a very big resistance level where Bitcoin has been stopped not once, but three times, two times, very, very close to each other. And so if Bitcoin manages to break $32,000, the next level is, like a lot of people are saying, $40,000. That's a very big resistance level. So, what Bitcoin needs to do right now is reach $32,000. And for that to happen, we need to confirm support. Like I said, all the catalysts that are happening in the real world, with all the crypto pumping, with people announcing ETF launches, with October actually happening, everything's starting to seem like it's lining up for this massive event. And the only thing that needs to happen is momentum. And if we look at the volume for Bitcoin, what's interesting is that back on the 15th of October, we had a massive spike in bullish momentum. That could also mean that there is very strong momentum happening in the bulls' favor. Bulls could be very strong right now, and that's why I believe that we could start pumping very, very soon. And the only thing that Bitcoin needs to do is confirm support at this level. My previous video, I was talking about the fact that Ethereum was very, very bullish, and I talked about the possibility of Ethereum having a bullish divergence that could also play in with Bitcoin. The fact that crypto is correlated together means that we could check multiple different charts and find analysis for those charts all together, which is why Solana follows Ethereum and Ethereum follows Bitcoin, and why you can look at Bitcoin and figure out what the rest of the crypto world generally does. That's why this Bitcoin, this bullish dominance on the Ethereum chart shows that Ethereum could also be starting to rise. We have so much bullish news and just a couple bearish news that can be easily broken if we get one thing, and that is momentum. We need volume. We need to confirm support at that level. If Bitcoin gets enough volume to rise to $32,000, then the next step is for us to break it. Even if we rise to $32,000, that's a pump on the short term. That's a bullishness on the short term. 6% rise. It's a pretty good rise. But then we start talking about the midterm, and that's where things change. Because on the midterm, we see bigger and bigger patterns that suggest the fall on the larger time frames. For example, that three drives pattern. And that's why when we reach $32,000, we will need to break it relatively quickly. If we manage to make a higher high, a high that's higher than the previous high, then we will start our rally to $40,000. On the midterm, that looks super bullish. But once again, this is all part of the cycles. We almost did the same exact thing back over here in 2019 when we rose from 3,000 all the way up to 13,000. People believe this was the rally to the all-time highs, breaking previous all-time highs, but we stopped around halfway and had this downwards spike. And that might be exactly what's happening with Bitcoin. That's why this is a very high risk area where we are right now. Even though Bitcoin could rise, Bitcoin could fall, what people suggest right now is to just hold till the next all time high. Sorry, not to the next all time high. If you hold to the next all time high, it's very good strategy. But The best thing people are saying is to buy either when Bitcoin falls or to hold when the Bitcoin halving happens. That's when you start seeing the Bitcoin price spike like crazy. Until then, the best thing to do is just hold. And with that being said, that is my live stream for today. That is my analysis. If you guys like this analysis, please leave a like down below. If you haven't already, subscribe. And I make live streams like this every single day to update crypto for you guys. Daily live streams, daily updates for you guys. Leave a like down below, subscribe. I will see you in the next live.